The air was thick with tension as Elias Carter stepped off the human dropship and onto the marble floor of the Celiari Palace. Round him, tall pillars reached toward the sky, glowing faintly with energy. The alien world of Varelia was unlike anything he had ever seen: purple skies, floating stones, and strange trees that hummed softly when touched by wind. Elias was a young man, not more than 25. He wore the standard blue and black uniform of a peace envoy. He had once been a soldier, but that life was behind him, so he believed. "Stay close," his commander, Ambassador Halvers, said quietly. "These Celiari don't like surprises." Celiari were one of the oldest alien empires in the galaxy. Tall, silver-skinned beings with glowing eyes, they were powerful, wise, and dangerous. Today, humans had come to ask for peace. A formal treaty? The massive palace doors opened. 2 alien guards stepped aside as a long, trumpet-like sound echoed through the hall. Elias and the rest of the human group walked forward carefully, their boots making soft clicks on the shining floor. At the far end of the hall stood a tall figure in a flowing silver robe. Her hair shimmered like light through water, and her eyes glowed with soft white energy. She was graceful, silent, and completely still. The humans stopped 10 paces away. Ambassador Halvers bowed. "We bring greetings from Earth," he said. "And we hope for," but before he could finish, the alien queen stepped down from her throne. She walked straight past the ambassador, past the guards, and stopped in front of Elias. Elias froze. The queen looked into his eyes. Her gaze was deep, not threatening, but calm and warm. Her lips curled into a gentle smile, and she spoke in a soft voice that echoed in his ears like music. "I know you, human." Everyone in the hall went silent. Elias blinked. "You know me?" It nodded slowly. "Yes, I remember you." But Elias had never seen her before in his life. The queen turned to the room and raised her hand. "This man," she said, "is not a stranger to me. His soul is familiar." Murmurs spread across the hall. The Celiari guards looked confused. The human team looked alarmed. Elias took a step back. "Your Majesty," he said, "I think there must be a mistake. We've never met." The queen smiled again. "Perhaps not in this lifetime." Then she turned and walked back to her throne, leaving everyone stunned behind her. That evening, Elias sat in the guest chamber of the palace. It was larger than his entire apartment back on Earth. The ceiling sparkled with lights that looked like stars. He tried to rest, but his mind was racing. Why did the queen say she knew him? He had never met her. He had never even seen a Celiari in person before today. But something deep in his chest felt strange, like a distant memory trying to return. Suddenly, the door opened. A servant stepped in. "The queen has requested your presence," she said. Elias stood up, nervous. "Alone?" "Yes. She wishes to speak with you privately." He was led through long crystal hallways to a quiet room with a tall, arched window. The queen stood there, looking out at the twin moons of Varelia. She didn't turn when he entered. "Come closer, Elias Carter," she said. He walked forward. "Your Majesty, you are confused," she said. "That is natural." He nodded. "Yes, I don't understand what you meant." She finally turned to him. Her eyes were soft, and her expression was almost sad. "Long ago, before this timeline, before this version of history, there was a war." Elias frowned. "A war, yes?" she said. "One that spread across galaxies. My people fought to survive. And in that time, you were there." "Can't be right," Elias said. "I'm only 25. I've never been here before." "You were different then," she said. "But your soul was the same. You saved me. You gave your life so that I could live. And when time shattered, that act stayed with me." He looked at her, trying to understand. "You mean another version of me?" she said. "Time was broken. That timeline was erased, but I remember pieces of it. When I saw you today, I felt it again. Your presence, your courage. It hasn't changed." Elias sat down slowly on a bench. His head hurt. I've had dreams," he whispered, "since I was a child. Dreams of glowing eyes, of war, of fire, but I never knew what they meant. The queen came closer. They were not dreams, Elias. They were memories buried deep. He looked up at her. But why me? I'm just a normal man. She smiled. No, Elias. You are not normal. Not to me. The next morning, news of the queen's strange words had spread across the palace. Some alien nobles believed it was a political trick. Others were frightened. They believed the queen was hiding something. A few whispered that the human Elias might be dangerous. Elias walked through the gardens alone, thinking about what she had said. Could it really be true? Was he connected to this alien queen across time? He sat by a glowing pond, staring at the water. Suddenly, he saw something in the reflection, not just his face, but a flicker of another version of him, wearing armor, holding a burning sword. Standing beside the queen on a battlefield, he gasped and looked away. The image disappeared, but the feeling remained. He touched his chest, where he thought his heart was, and for a moment, he felt a deep warmth. A connection. Later that day, a Celiari advisor named Thalos approached the queen. This human, Thalos said, is causing trouble. The people are asking questions. Expected that, she replied calmly. You're putting everything at risk. The queen looked at him. What I risk is nothing compared to what he gave. I will not turn away from him. Thalos bowed, but his face showed doubt that night. Elias stood on his balcony, staring at the alien stars. He didn't know what was happening to him, but deep inside, a strange thought rose like a whisper. Maybe I was meant to come here. Maybe this is not the first time I've been by her side. As he looked up, a shooting star crossed the sky, and far away inside her chambers, the queen watched. It too, her hand resting on her heart. She whispered to herself, You are back, Elias. I knew you would return. Elias Carter woke up early the next morning, but sleep had barely touched him. Strange dreams filled his head battles in space, cities on fire and a glowing hand reaching out to his own. When he opened his eyes, the dream vanished, but the feeling remained. He stood by the large window of his chamber, looking out at the purple sky of Varelia. 2 suns were rising, casting golden light across the palace grounds. It was beautiful, but he felt like he didn't belong here. Or maybe, somehow he did. Suddenly, there was a knock. A Celiar servant entered and bowed deeply. The queen requests your presence once again, human Elias. Elias nodded slowly. Tell her I'll be there. This time the queen waited for him in a garden behind the palace. Strange flowers shimmered with soft light. Trees sang when the wind passed through them. Birds with crystal wings flew overhead. She stood near a quiet fountain, her silver robes flowing around her like mist. Elias approached carefully. Your Majesty? She turned to him, her silver eyes calm. Please, Elias, you may call me Avaris. We are not strangers. He hesitated, then nodded. All right, Avaris, I have questions. Expected that, she said softly. Elias sat on a stone bench beside her. You said I saved you. In another lifetime? Yes, she replied. There was a war. Long ago? Or perhaps not so long. Time is not always as straight as you think. The Krell Dominion was rising. They brought destruction to many worlds. You were a warrior, not just for Earth, but for all who stood against them. I don't remember any of this, Elias said, but I've had dreams. Visions, since I was young. I thought they were just dreams. They were memories, Avaris said. Faded but not gone. Pieces that stayed inside your soul. But how? How could I live another life? He asked. She looked up at the sky. When the war reached its worst moment, time itself broke. The Krell used forbidden weapons, trying to erase history. Some memories were lost, some lives restarted, but a few bonds were too strong to break. Elias stared at her. Bonds. She looked into his eyes. You and I fought side by side. You were not just my protector. You were my equal. We trusted each other. We bled for each other. And when I stood at death's door, you gave everything. To save me, Elias's heart beat faster. You're saying I died for you? She nodded. Yes, and when time reset, I remembered. Not everything, but enough. Elias sat in silence. His hands shook slightly. I don't know if I believe this. I understand, she said. But the truth does not wait for belief. Looked at her again. There was no lie in her eyes, only sadness. And something else? Oh, but that night, Elias sat alone again in his room. The walls seemed to close in on him. His dreams were stronger now. In them, he stood in armor of black and gold. He held a glowing blade. Fires burned around him. Alien soldiers fought beside him. Beside him stood Avarice, wearing battle armor, shouting orders with strength and pride. He woke up with sweat on his face. The next day, rumors spread across the palace. The human is cursed. One alien noble said, He's some kind of weapon. Another whispered, The queen is hiding the truth from us, said a third. Some of the Celiari were afraid. Others were angry. The human presence was not welcome anymore, not after the queen had shown so much interest in him. Ambassador Halvers met with Elias in secret. You're becoming a problem, son, he said. The aliens are growing nervous. I didn't ask for any of this, Elias replied. But something strange is happening. I think maybe she's telling the truth. Halvers sighed. We're here to make peace, not to get involved in alien fairy tales. I'm not sure it's a fairy tale, Elias said quietly. I think it's real. Later that day, Avarice invited Elias to the Chamber of Memory, a quiet place deep beneath the palace. The walls were covered with glowing stones. In the center was a pool of clear blue water. This is where our ancestors keep their memories, she said. Some say the water can show you what your heart knows to be true. Leah stepped forward. The water was perfectly still. He looked into it. At first he only saw his reflection. But then images began to appear. He saw himself standing in a battlefield. He saw alien ships falling from the sky. He saw Avarice wounded, lying on the ground. And he saw himself kneeling beside her, pressing his hands to her chest, giving her something, his energy, his life. He gasped and stepped back. The images faded. Avarice watched him silently. Ain't you saw it? Yes, I saw it. Ain't you? Saved me, she said. Twice now. Once in the past. And once again, by simply returning. Elias rubbed his hands over his face. I don't understand what's happening to me. You are remembering, she said, and soon you will be ready. Ready for what? She paused. To choose your path. You were never meant to live a normal life. Not after what you did. That night, one of the alien nobles named Lord Vaon confronted Avarice in the throne room. You trust this human too much, he said. He is a threat. He is not, Avarice replied calmly. You risk the safety of our people?
I
Risk nothing that hasn't already been saved by his hands, she said sharply. Vaon bowed, but his eyes were cold. Then you leave us no choice. If he stays, we will act. The next morning, Elias was walking through the palace gardens when a small metal dart flew past his ear. He dropped to the ground just as a second one hit the tree behind him. Rolled and pulled out the emergency signal device from his belt. 2 alien guards came running. The attackers had already vanished. Later, Avarice stood over him, angry and silent. This was not an accident, she said. They are trying to silence you. Elias stood slowly. Then maybe I should leave. No, she said firmly. They fear you because they sense the truth. You're a part of this world, whether they accept it or not. Elias looked into her eyes. What do you want from me? I want nothing, she said. But your past may ask for something, and you must be ready to answer. That evening, Elias looked at his reflection again. His face looked the same. But something inside had changed. It felt stronger, sharper, as if a second mind was waking inside him. His dreams returned again. That night only this time, he didn't feel lost in them. He felt like he belonged there. The days passed slowly inside the shining walls of the Celiar Palace, but inside Elias Carter, things were changing quickly. He no longer woke up as a confused human diplomat. Every night, his dreams became clearer, battlefields, starships, alien soldiers beside him, and always the queen. Not as a ruler on a throne, but as a warrior beside him, fighting for survival. The connection between Elias and Queen Avaris was growing stronger. He felt it when she entered her room. He heard her voice even when she hadn't spoken yet. And when he looked into her eyes, he no longer felt like a stranger. He felt like he had come home. One morning, Queen Avaris sent for Elias again. This time, she brought him to a chamber deep beneath the palace. It was carved from ancient stone and lit with a glowing blue flame in the center. There were no guards, no nobles. Only the queen and Elias. She stood near the flame and turned to him. "It is time." Elias looked at her carefully. Time for what? She stepped forward to restore what was broken, to bring back what the Krell tried to erase, our bond. Elias said nothing. She continued. "You and I were linked, Elias, not by blood but by spirit. It was called the Blood Pact, a sacred vow made between warriors in ancient times. It connected hearts, minds, and fates. It was rare, almost never done, but we did it once. And we must do it again." Elias stared at the flame. "If we do this, what will happen to me?" "You will remember more," she said softly. "You will awaken the part of you that was once lost, and with it, the strength you once had." "Is it dangerous?" he asked. She looked into his eyes. "Only if your heart is not ready." Elias thought about it for a long moment. Then he slowly nodded. "Let's do it." The queen walked to the altar beside the flame. 2 silver knives lay there. She picked one up and held it carefully. "This is not about pain," she said. "This is about trust." She gently cut her palm and let a few drops of her glowing silver blood fall into the flame. It hissed, and the flame turned white. Then she handed the second knife to Elias. He took a deep breath and cut his own palm. His blood dropped into the fire. Red and silver swirled together, and the flame burst upward. Elias felt something slam into his mind, like a door opening. He fell to his knees. Images poured in. Voices, screams, laughter, the roar of vengeance. The crash of battle. He saw himself in armor, leading troops. He saw Avaris at his side, calling him commander. He saw himself protecting her, fighting for her, dying for her. Then he saw something else. The moment they made the pact. The old version of himself stood across from Avaris in a burning temple. Holding out his hand, they made the vow together. "From this day, we fight as one. Where you go, I follow. Where I fall, you rise. We are bound across time, blood, and stars." Elias gasped as the visions ended. He looked up at Avaris. She knelt beside him, her eyes wet with tears. "Do you remember now?" she whispered. Elias nodded slowly. "Yes, I remember." After the blood pact was complete, Elias felt different. Not just in mind, but in body. He could sense things before they happened, could feel danger in the air. And when he moved, his body responded faster than before, like a soldier trained for years. The queen arranged private training for him. Secretly, she brought him into the old war hall beneath the palace. There he met an old Seliar warrior named Kale, one of the few remaining veterans from the Time War. Kale looked him over and nodded. "You look different than before. Smaller, but maybe stronger inside." Elias raised his hands. "I'm not a warrior anymore." "Not yet," Kale said. "But your soul remembers." They trained every morning. Elias was fast. His instincts were sharp. And sometimes his hands moved before he even thought. "You've done this before," Kale said after one session, "even if your mind forgot." Meanwhile, the palace was growing restless. Whispers turned into plots. Many nobles believed the queen had gone too far. Some said she was cursed. Others feared the return of the ancient Krell threat. And behind closed doors, a group of high-ranking nobles met in secret. "We cannot let this human take power," said Lord Vayan. "The queen is blinded by emotion." "He's dangerous," said another. "We should have dealt with him when he first arrived." Vayan narrowed his eyes. "We still can." That evening, Elias stood on the palace balcony, watching the twin moons rise. Varys joined him in silence. "Saw everything," he said softly. The war. The pain. It's the choices we made. And do you regret it? She asked. He shook his head. No, I would do it again. She looked at him. Then perhaps you will have to. Elias turned to her. What do you mean? She stepped closer. The Krell are not gone. I feel them in the stars. Shadows returning. Elias felt a chill. But the war is over, isn't it? The timeline was broken, she said. But the Krell exist outside of time. If they survived, they may be coming again. He clenched his fists. Then we have to stop them.
No.
You are not alone this time, she said gently. We are together. The next day, a Celiari scout ship returned from the edge of known space. Their report was short but terrifying. A dark fleet is moving. Unmarked ships. Silent. Coming from the void. And their energy signatures matched the Krell. Panic spread across the court. The Krell dominion thought to be extinct was returning. The nobles demanded action. Some blamed avarice. Others pointed fingers at Elias. It is the human, Lord Vahan shouted. He has brought this curse back to us. But Avaris stood tall. Silence. This threat was always waiting. Elias did not bring it. He was sent here to help us face it. You trust him too much, Vahan said coldly. I trust him with my life, Avaris replied. Later that night, Vahan made his move. While Elias trained in the war hall, 2 masked assassins slipped inside. They moved like shadows, fast and silent. But Elias felt them before they struck. He turned, caught the blade with his hand, twisted, and dropped one of them with a punch. The second came from behind, but Elias spun and kicked him across the room. Kale ran in just as the fight ended. Are you all right? Elias nodded. I think I've done this before. The queen heard the news and rushed to Elias. I'm fine, he told her. She touched his cheek gently. They fear you because they see your strength, but fear cannot. Stop what is coming. Elias looked into her eyes. Then what do we do? She took his hand. We prepare, just like before. That night, Elias stood before the palace war table, surrounded by ancient maps and blinking stars. He wasn't just a visitor anymore. He was a warrior again, and the war was returning. The warning came just before dawn. A fleet of dark ships was moving through the outer edges of Celiari space. No lights. No signals. Just shadows cutting across the stars. Elias Carter stood on the command bridge of the Queen's flagship, the Silver Dawn. Around him, alien officers moved quickly, preparing weapons and shields. The air buzzed with tension. Avira stood beside him, calm but focused. Her silver eyes scanned the star map, watching the incoming threat. The Krell have returned, she said quietly. Elias clenched his fists. How many ships? Too many, said the chief tactician, a tall alien named Sorel. We estimate over 200. 200 ships meant one thing: war. The Silver Dawn moved to meet the enemy. Celiari fighters swarmed from hidden hangars, their sleek shapes cutting through space like silver arrows. Elias stood at the front of the battle command, his heart pounding, but his mind clear. This was what he was born for. The first wave of Krell. Ships emerged from the darkness. Their hulls were black and twisted, covered in strange glowing runes. They fired powerful energy beams that tore through Celiari's shields. Elias watched carefully. They are using the same tactics as before. He said, hit fast, then retreat. We can't let them retreat, Avaris said. If they regroup, we lose the advantage. Elias nodded. Then we strike harder. The battle was fierce. Celiari fighters darted through the chaos, weaving between blasts and explosions. Elias coordinated the defense and counterattack with precision, his voice calm, his command sharp. Alpha Squadron, flank left. Beta, protect the rear. Gamma, prepare for boarding. The Silver Dawn shook as a Krell missile hit the hull. Lights flickered. Elias steadied himself. Damage report. Sensors offline on the starboard side, Sorel answered. ... Shields hold. Ilias's mind raced. He remembered the battles from his visions, the trust, the tactics. The moments when a single move could change everything. He felt a strange calm wash over him suddenly. Avarice's communicator beeped. Elias. She said, "We have a problem. The Krell have deployed a psychic weapon." "Psychic weapon?" Elias asked, eyes narrowing. "They can attack minds," she said. "We must protect ourselves." The crew began using shields designed to block psychic waves. But Elias felt a sudden pressure in his head, a wave of cold fear, confusion. He gritted his teeth. "Focus," he whispered to himself. His vision blurred, but he forced his mind to clear. Memories of past battles and the blood packed with avarice gave him strength. He pushed back the attack. The battle raged for hours. At one point, Krell boarding ship locked on to the Silver Dawn. The airlock opened and dark-armored soldiers poured. Inside, Elias grabbed a plasma rifle and joined the fight. He moved with speed and skill, dodging blasts and returning fire. Avaris fought beside him, graceful and deadly. Together, they led the defense. "Hold the line," Elias shouted. "Cannot let them take this ship." The soldiers pushed forward. But Elias and the Celiari warriors fought harder. After a brutal fight, the Krell retreat began. The Celiari fleet chased them to the edge of the system. Elias stood on the bridge watching the enemy flee. Avaris stepped beside him. "This is not the end," she said. "No," Elias agreed, "but it's a start." Back on Varelia, the queen held a council meeting. The nobles sat around a large table face his grave. "Elias has proven his worth," Avaris said. "But the war is far from over." Lord Vayan sat quietly, his eyes cold. "He is still a human," he said. "He cannot understand our people." Perhaps Avaris replied, "But he understands courage and loyalty." She looked at Elias. "We must prepare for the next attack. Together." That night, Elias stood on the palace balcony looking at the stars. He thought about the battles, the queen, and the strange life he was living now. "Why me?" he whispered to the wind. A soft voice answered in his mind, a memory clear and true. "Because you are the one who never gave up." Elias smiled. No matter what came next, he was ready. The final battle came without warning. The dark Krell fleet reappeared on the edge of the system, larger and stronger than before. Their ships moved like shadows, silent and deadly. Elias Carter stood on the bridge of the Silver Dawn, watching the stars grow brighter with incoming fire. "This is it," he said quietly. Avaris stood beside him, her silver eyes shining with determination. "We fight for our people, for our future." The Celiari fleet formed lines ready to meet the enemy. The battle began with a roar. Energy beams cut through space. Explosions lit the darkness. Ships danced in deadly patterns. Elias coordinated the defense, his mind clear despite the chaos. Suddenly, the psychic waves came again stronger this time. Elias felt his mind shake. The pressure was unbearable. But this time, he did not resist alone. Avaris reached out, her hand glowing with silver light. Their minds connected. A wave of calm spread through Elias's head. He remembered everything. The battles. The blood. Packed the ancient vow. He saw the Krell's weakness as hidden core in their flagship. With new strength, Elias gave the order. "Gamma Squadron, target the flagship's core. All fighters, protect them." The fleet surged forward. Krell ships fired back fiercely. But Elias led the charge. He moved like a shadow on the bridge-comm. Precise, unstoppable. The flagship exploded in a brilliant flash. The enemy fleet faltered. Avaris smiled at Elias. "You have done it." Elias breathed deeply. "We did it." After the battle, the Celiar people celebrated. In the Great Hall, Avaris stood before her court. She raised her hand, and the room fell silent. "Today we honor a hero," she said. "Not just a human, but a warrior of 2 lifetimes." Looked at Elias. "I know you, human, and I always will." Elias stepped forward, feeling the weight of history. He smiled back. "I am proud to stand with you, Queen Avaris." Days later, Elias walked through the palace gardens. He felt peace for the first time in years. The strange memories were no longer confusing. They were part of him. Avarice joined him, her hand in his. "We have a future now," she said. Elias nodded. Together. And beneath the purple skies of Varelia, two souls from different worlds stood united, ready to face whatever came next.